Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Mesdames et messieurs, merci beaucoup. Break time is over. Now I have to welcome you back here. I hope you enjoyed your break. And for those who may have missed the very beginning, I mentioned here that my duties for the next few days are as follows: Master of Ceremony, Facilitator, Moderator, Discipline Master, Timekeeper, School Principal, Head Teacher, and all of that. So I'm going to take one of those, my roles at this moment, and welcome you back as the Discipline Master to say, we did say we will have just 30 minutes of coffee break. We seem to have gone to 35, 36, 37 minutes. Now, we really must be able to manage that such that when it's time for lunch, we don't have it cut or reduced. In this part, I am being much more generous. Okay, now that I have everyone's attention, reminder, you've got on your seats, you've got equipment. If you need interpretation, you can use the equipment and choose the language of your choice so you can better understand when the speakers come on. We will now hear from governments worldwide who will showcase their national commitments and remarkable achievements, and some of whom sign new national commitments to the coalition. So we've got a panel here, and I would like us to welcome them. We have here the UAE, we have Libya, South Sudan, Somalia, and Japan. And they are all here to continue to share in terms of these bold commitments and the promise that we would bring about change for our future generations through this coalition. And it's not me who would be moderating this time around. I'll be turning that to someone with even higher rank than me. And that will be the minister from Finland, Minister Tavio, whom I would like to introduce and who will take over the moderation of this very important session. Over to you, Minister.
Thank you. Dear ministers, coalition members and partners, it's my great pleasure now to open the plenary one session from pledges into process national commitments in action. The session aims at showcasing the progress of the coalition's objectives through the national commitments as guiding instruments. The main principle of the coalition and the key reason for its success is the focus on country action. Indeed, without it there is nothing. Without political will, investment and implementation in each country that is member of the coalition, there is no hope of progress. The same conclusions rose from a review initiated by the Ministry for Foreign Affairs of Finland earlier this year. The review was conducted by researchers from universities in Finland and Ethiopia to assess the impact of the Global School Meals Coalition. The review indicated several aspects which have contributed to the success of the coalition. One key element was the high-level commitment of leaders to the issue. Another one was combination of multi-stakeholder approach with an emphasis on country-led action. The review's main recommendation was to encourage all actors to continue to improve the quality and sustainable school meal programs, as well as strengthening the integration of local food producers to generate local economic growth. Keeping this encouragement in mind, in addition to what we have already heard thus far from our new members and partners, I look forward to hearing more of the strong country commitments in order to explain and expand and invest in school meals, making them available to all school children globally. I also look forward to hearing of the partners' announcements during these 2 days to launch or kickstart ambitious initiative connected to school meals. I hope for the ambitious action agenda aims to improve the quality of the programs. The coalition now has 29 countries that have submitted commitments, which are the basis for all the work that is taking place, including the support countries are receiving from the partners. I already highlighted Finland's commitment in my opening words. We will continue our political, financial, and technical support to the coalition work and to the improvement of school meals globally. We are very enthusiastic about the success achieved thus far and look forward to continuing to work together with you. We will now listen to some of the countries that will share their progress so far and countries that have just announced their national commitments as we move forward. So I welcome this first panel open, and I will moderate it together with Carmen Burbano.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Minister, for that. When we were designing this first panel, it was very important for us to make sure that we were putting the spotlight on countries that have been part of this discussion almost from the start. And what we wanted to know from them was, what have they achieved in the last 2 years? These are countries that joined the coalition that have something to share with you today in terms of progress. And I think the message of this main session, as Minister Tavio mentioned, is that the coalition isn't a lot of blah, 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 basically. This is not about just talk and no action. This is about governments and particularly leaders that have decided that this is a priority. And what we want to hear from them today is, what have they achieved, or what are they coming here to announce in terms of moving forward? So I'll start with Minister Almheiri. It's my great pleasure to have you here again. I have to say, she has been with us in almost all of the major milestones of the coalition. So I really thank you for your commitment. It's clear that you're making time for these events, and that also when you go back home, you go back, you figure out what are you going to do. And I understand that you're here to tell us what in the last 2 years you've been doing also domestically for the coalition. What are your commitments?
Thank you so much, Carmen. I want to also thank Finland, France, and now Brazil and the World Food Programme as well for actually creating this coalition. So when we joined, let me tell you, it was such an inspiration and enlightenment to actually understand the power of what this platform is about. And as many have said in their speeches, it's not just about providing food, it's really so many other things. And so last year when we were in Finland and we were having a school meal at a Finnish school in Helsinki, I myself went back home and I started to look inwards in our own country, started to look at what are we actually providing our students, and especially in public schools to start off with. And you'll be pleased to know that the UAE School Meals Initiative has now been born because of the inspirations we've gotten from this family. And with that, we're actually going from 0 to 100% for providing free, nutritious meals for all public students at public schools in the next 2 years. So this is from the inspiration we've gotten here. And for us, this was really when we started to look a little bit more into the ecosystem that comes about when you provide such a meal. I mean, many have been mentioned already. So first of all, it's the nutrition. Second, you're influencing long-term behavior in all these students as well, which makes such a huge effect later on in their lives. Then, of course, the link of nutrition and education. I could provide a student with a great school, great teachers, but if they're not getting the nutrition, and we all know that, they can't absorb or take in that education. So enhancing educational quality and outcomes is so important. Then in the long run, when you look at a country and its economic returns, it's been shown by science and by the models that have been done and have been implemented that for every dollar spent on a school meal, you have $9 that you save. And these economic returns, when you look at health bills, if a person is not getting a good nutrition from the early part of their lives, later on, they have a risk of getting sicker, which means you've lost that person of actually giving you the economic returns. Plus, on top of that, you're paying their health bills. So that has been a huge impact to actually understand the economics of the School Meals Coalition. Then to go even further, you're creating a new market for your local farmers. And we've been looking at that as well. My local farmers in the UAE are always complaining. We're always having to compete against trade. And we have it, you know, for us, the economic scale is not something we can reach. Now you're creating a market for them. And as Carmen also mentioned, the government procurement plays a huge role here. And this is where we have our hands on those procedures. So in the UAE School Meals Initiative, we're trying to also reach to at least 70% of certain food items to be sourced locally at public schools. Then increasing community-based job creation. Our aim is here as well to really look at how we can establish a quota that will see at least 30% of the workforce associated with this program from low-income communities surrounding schools. So that's another layer that we'll be looking at. So just looking at this, we're just touching the surface. And I think you all know that the first 1,000 days of any child is also really critical here. So we're also looking at the early school years as well. So before a child goes into school. And I know this is, most of you know about this, about stunting. It's so important that we look at that aspect as well. Now, the UAE, of course, these are the things we're doing locally. We also have, as you know, COP28 around the corner in exactly 43 days. And you will be pleased to know that I'm leading the COP28 food systems dialogue and transformations. And I know many of you here are in the room and have heard that we launched the COP28 food systems agenda in Rome at the UNF Food Systems Summit +2. And this agenda came upon just talking to all of you and understanding for us to actually have a real effect on food systems transformation. We need an agenda and we need political will. And this political will, we've now issued the Emirates Declaration on Resilient Food Systems, Sustainable Agriculture and Climate Action. I know it's a long name. This Emirates Declaration has been sent through the diplomatic channels yesterday. And so we'll be coming to all of you, and we really need you to come on board because we've never been so far in the food systems dialogue before a COP. And linking school meals, which is such an incredible tool for food systems transformation, Aim for Climate, which we're doing with the US and 500 other partners. So this is for us such an important moment for food systems transformation. So please come on board on the Emirates Declaration. And of course, at COP28, you'll be pleased to know we have a food systems event happening on every day of the thematic days. And with the World Food Programme, on the Education Day, there will be a high-level segment for school meals on the Education Day. Also on the Education Day, we've got Rewired. This is by Dubai Cares, the UAE government, and Expo. Rewired is a great platform. As you know, they've been hosting many of you to their events, really linking school meals, nutrition, education, and they'll be really looking at things like food systems. And of course, they're looking at an innovative financing mechanism where they will make some announcements on that day. So there's so much going on. Carmen, I know I've exceeded. Just want to say we're really excited to seeing you all in Dubai in 43 days. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Minister. And we knew that you were coming here to announce some really robust commitments, both domestically and internationally. And because I really wanted to hear from you, I actually forgot to mention to all of the panelists, Hennessy's here at the front. She's going to be telling us when we need to stop speaking. And when she raises that red thing, it means that we need to start to, the red one is basically time is up. But I forgot because I really wanted to hear from you. So let's move forward now to the Gambia, Minister Kola. Your government has committed to improving the quality of the school meals program, and I think that's something that you share. Many governments here have the same objective. Can you tell us a little bit more about your progress on this? What, where are you with this commitment? Why do I have the Gambia here? Sorry. So what am I doing here? South Sudan. Okay.
Thank you very much. I was wondering, how did I become Uganda representative? Thank you.
Sorry. My notes are
That's-
telling me
Thank you so
something
much,
completely
Carmen. And I want to thank the government of France and Finland for organizing this important meeting, and the World Food Program with the partners who, I think this is a very target goals in the process of how we can promote education. South Sudan, coming from a transition of war and implementing peace agreement, you can imagine how many children coming from different directions from where they were in refuge, and those who were at home, and establishing, you know, from a scratch a school and getting to education. We lost 2 generations that has never seen schools. So we felt that it was important that we must have a legal framework that will help institutionalize this process, not just an ad hoc. So we developed a national strategy, which was initiated for in 2019 as a policy that will guide the government of South Sudan to help promote education through a school meal. And I think a school meal has been one of the key that promote education. And all of us were children before we became adults. So I think we have now a 5-year for South Sudan, an outlook for a school meal program. We also transition from a school meal emergency intervention to a homegrown school feeding program, which had encouraging results in our country. We have seen how community linked to the education, and in terms of getting the sourcing what they have produced and selling it to the school, and that it becomes a collective responsibility that community feels they are also, whatever they get, they are empowered economically, and particularly women farmers. And the homegrown has shown that it is much cheaper than importing food from outside. You buy from local area, and also it's the food they're used to eat, but mindful of the diet, the nutrition that it comes with it. So this is what South Sudan has looked like. And for us, we felt that the approach is the community-based school feeding models is more holistic and a voucher-based homegrown school feeding program. And in the reality of South Sudan, the places are different. We don't use the same products produced in the country, but they have, so the variety, it enrich the program itself. So we are now with the World Food Program, we signed a memorandum of understanding to develop a policy on a school feeding strategy and a program that will help South Sudan now institutionalize this. And we have piloted this in Eastern Equatoria, where there has been constant drought, and the results are very encouraging. we feel this is the way. If we are to cover everybody in the country, the population of the student, then we must promote the solution from within. A homegrown school feeding program will do well in our country, as we have seen the result right now. So this is what I felt it is important that national policy for a school feeding is very key, and commitment of government to contribute into this. I was in a conference just recently in Northern Bahr Ghazal, where the community leaders say, we will contribute, we will give food to our children to support education. So there will be contribution, but there will be also where we can buy food from our local farmers. But more importantly, I think we are here as a family because we have a goal to achieve, a target program of encouraging every child all over the world to go to school. And an empty stomach cannot listen to the teacher. So we must feed a child so that their attention is all given to their learning. So I feel that this movement is a very important movement and a very powerful voice that advocate for everybody in the state of a single country doing it on its own. So it is not a job of one country or one community. It is our collective responsibility to promote education. And the only pillar that can promote education rapidly, especially girl education, those who are left behind further, we must bring them aboard by providing a meal in the school so that they remain in the class. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister. And my apologies for before. A little bit of a mix-up, but I want to acknowledge that the policy and a legal framework is so important to make sure that these programs are institutionalized. And so just congratulations on making that huge step in South Sudan. It's putting you on the right path. So congratulations.
I accept apology. We are neighbors with Uganda, no problem.
Minister Tavio, over to you.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Carmen. So I would like to hear from the Libya Minister Almagrif. Your government has committed to sharply scale up school meals and policies to facilitate this. Can you tell us a little bit more about your progress?
Thank you. بداية يعني بتكلم اللغة العربية يعني ايش اكسكوز. أولا الشكر لدولة فرنسا على استضافة هذا الحدث المهم، وأيضا لدولة فنلندا على الرئاسة والمبادرات الطيبة، والشكر لجميع الحضور. بداية تلتزم وزارة التربية والتعليم بدولة ليبيا وكممثل لحكومة الوحدة الوطنية بتطوير منظومة التعليم في ليبيا وتعزيز البيئة التعليمية. ولا شك تعزيز البيئة التعليمية وفق أحدث المعايير لا يتأتى إلا بالوجبات المدرسية لمختلف الطلاب مختلف شرائحهم، وعلى وجه الخصوص بالطلاب ذو الاحتياجات الخاصة، وكذلك في مختلف المدن الليبية سواء الحضرية أو النائية أو أيضا المناطق الحدودية. يشمل هذا الالتزام من الدولة الليبية ضمان التغذية المثالية لتعزيز النمو الفكري والجسدي للطلاب، وندرك الدور الأساسي اللي تلعب الوجبة المدرسية في تحقيق الأمن الغذائي والحماية المجتمعية والنمو الاقتصادي، وفي معالجة قضايا الجوع والفقر والمرض والعزلة الاجتماعية وعدم الاستقرار. وإدراكا للأثر الإيجابي والمهم للوجبات المدرسية، حيث تهدف هذه المبادرة إلى تعزيز برامج التغذية المدرسية على المستوى المحلي والعالمي بما يتماشى مع أهداف التنمية المستدامة 2030. في ليبيا أطلق البرنامج التغذية المدرسية لسنة 2021 بتكوين المطبخ المركزي في مدينة بنغازي وكذلك في مدينة تورغة بتغذية أكثر من 40 تلميذ وطالب، وحيث كان المطبخ كما تعلمون مدينة تورغة يعني تحتاج إلى الدعم كما تعلمون للوضع اللي هي مرت به الدولة الليبية. وكذلك يعني حاولنا قدر الامكان ان يكون هناك ايضا مطبخ في مناطق الجنوب الشرقي، وبالفعل اطلقت مطبخ وتم تغذيه 20,000 تلميذ بالتعاون مع البرنامج الغذاء العالمي. حقيقة يعني هذا البرنامج كان يطلق هذا العام، إلا أن ما حدث في مدينة درنا وفقد أكثر من 20,000 شخص ودمرت العديد من المؤسسات التعليمية. اتجهت الأنظار إلى مدينة درنا، ويكون هناك فيها مطبخ مركزي بالتعاون مع البرنامج الغذاء العالمي لتغذية أكثر من 20,000 تلميذ بعام 2024 لهذا العام الدراسي. تطمح ليبيا في إنشاء مطبخ مركزي بما يتواجب مع يعني يتناسب مع الكثافة الطلابية في مناطق ليبيا، وكذلك أيضا المقاصف المدرسية، كما تقوم أيضا من باب الجودة وإطلاق هذا البرنامج بشكله الصحيح ومحافظة على استدامته. تقوم الوزارة بدراسة وإجراءات الأبحاث مع الجهات صاحبة المصلحة كالجهات الاقتصادية والاجتماعية والأكاديمية المعنية بالغذاء المدرسي أيضا، وتبحث على استراتيجية مناسبة وآلية مناسبة لتوفير وجبات مدرسية صحية مستدامة تعتمد بشكل مباشر على المنتجات المحلية وكذلك الصناعية. أيضا حافظنا على إطلاق هذا البرنامج في التجمعات، سواء كانت تجمعات صغيرة أو تجمعات كبيرة والتابعة لوزارة التربية والتعليم مع برنامج الغذاء العالمي، في وضع أسس وآليات معينة للملكية الوطنية لمشروع التغذية المدرسية عبر إقامة ورش وتدريب الكوادر الوطنية على تنفيذ برنامج التغذية المدرسية، وذلك لتحسين جودة البرامج وضمان الاستدامة والشمولية للبرنامج لكل شرائح المستهدفة في كافة البلاد. أما بخصوص التمويل هذا المشروع والمحافظة على استدامته، نجحت وزارة التربية والتعليم في الضغط والعمل مع الجهة التشريعية بالدولة الليبية، وتم تخصيص مبلغ وقدره 200 مليون دينار ليبي ضمن الميزانية 2023 لصالح برنامج التغذية المدرسية، إلا أن حقيقة يعني الانقسام السياسي الحاصل في ليبيا تعثر إحالة هذا المبلغ إلى وزارة التربية والتعليم بتنفيذ هذا البرنامج، وفي إطار أن يكون يعني هناك يعني استقرار وتكون هناك يعني حكومة تضم كافة البلاد. كوزارة التربية والتعليم حقيقة يعني أولينا اهتمامنا ونجحنا في هذا الاعتماد في هذا المبلغ، وبإذن الله تعالى سوف نسعى لتسهيله لصالح وزارة التربية والتعليم بحكومة الوحدة الوطنية ليكون ضمن مخصصات التغذية المدرسية. أيضا بالإضافة لذلك، بالإطار الاهتمام وزارة التربية والتعليم بالتغذية المدرسية، تم إدراج ضمن الهيكل التنظيمي للمؤسسات التعليمية بمسمى أخصائي تغذية ضمن الهيكل المؤسسات التعليمية. طبعا أسندت إليه العديد من المهام ذات الصلة بالتغذية المدرسية كمتابعة سلامة التغذية المقدمة في المدارس، ومتابعة مدى الالتزام باللوائح التنظيمية للمقاصف المدرسية، وأيضا وإقامة المحاضرات والنقاشات التوعوية والتثقيفية حول الغذاء الصحي على صعيد أيضا لكافة المؤسسات التعليمية، باعتبار أن لدى الدولة الليبية حوالي 6600 مؤسسة تعليمية. just one minute. طبعا في الختام حقيقة كوزارة التربية والتعليم وجودنا في هذا الحدث هو مهم جدا جدا. نشكر فيه كل المستضيفين، وكذلك يعني نتمنى أن ينجح الغذاء العالمي على مستوى العالم، بحيث أن يكون التلميذ والطالب متحصل على الوجبة الكافية، وأيضا مظلة اجتماعية واحدة لكل التلاميذ. نشكر الجميع ومتأسف للوقت. شكرا.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Minister.
Nice to hear from the Libya process. So thank you, Mr. Almagrif.
Okay, so now we go to our left, to Somalia. Minister Mustaf, welcome. And your government has not only issued commitments, but you have actually done something to move it forward, and you've coordinated a mechanism to move that forward. Tell us a little bit about what has happened. I understand it's quite recent as well.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Mr. Tavio. Thank you, France and Finland, for hosting such a very important platform for our children around the world. It's my very pleasure to be here, represent federal government of Somalia. Before I go the answer of the question, I will just give you a quick brief about the education status of Somalia. Somalia's population is around 17 million. Approximately 8.5 million are at the age of school children. Also 75% of the population are the age of youth between 35 and 30. Out of that 7.5 million, only 1.7 million children are going to school. 4 million children are out of school in Somalia. Why I have tell you this story? This is because we emphasize access more than anything else. In order to increase the access of our children, we have made everything that we can to commit to go our children to school. We have increased the number of teachers that we have in this year. We have added more 3,000 teachers to our payroll in order to increase the access of education. There are some issues that are hindering the access of education, including climate change, including resource, including the liberated areas. In terms of the commitment that we have been made in the school coalition, we have made 2021 our commitment. We did not sit. We tried to engage all of the parties of the government to be part of this commitment. We collaborated with the ministries that are to be part of the school meal in the federal government of Somalia. We made a roundtable discussion with the federal minister, the Minister of Finance, of course, which is in charge with the budget, Minister of Agriculture and Irrigation, who are in charge of the farming and local market of the domestic product of Somalia, and Minister of Education also. At that roundtable discussion, the three ministries have been made a specific commitment to support this agenda forward, including developing a roadmap for the establishment of a school meals program that allocating a contribution from national budget to school feeding program, which will be, we hope, and we are committed to add for the next fiscal year. Second, strengthening the linkage with the local procurement from smallholder farmers to strengthen agricultural sector and promote economic growth, which is a very big agenda in the country. And also continuing to build partnership to support national school feeding programs. What else that we have done was making sure that we have national school feeding policy, which have been validated and disseminated by the cabinet. And we hope that it will be a starting point for our children. School feeding, we see in Somalia as a motivation, not for school retention, but for making increase the access of our children, number of our children who are going to school. And of course, we need the collaboration from the donors, from the countries, as well as from everyone that's dreaming to increase the number of our children who are going to school. Our children, our future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister. I think what's also quite interesting from the Somalia experience is that connection between the different sectors, bringing together the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Education, together to see how this program is scaled up. And the other really important commitment that I think you'll hear a lot as well during the next year and day and a half is this issue of domestic commitments, budgets. And it's really about how does that fiscal space and how that budget starts growing so that governments can increase the scale of the program, particularly given the challenges you have on education. We go now to Japan. Vice Minister, welcome. Vice Minister Hosaka. Japan has committed to providing school meals through your Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA. So the question to you is, tell us a little bit about those commitments that were made. What are they about?
ありがとうございます。日本語で失礼させていただきます。まずはこの会議を開催をしていただきましたこと、マクロン大統領をはじめ、関係者の皆様に心から感謝を申し上げます。今、ご質問もいただきました。ありがとうございます。私どもに日本国際協力機構という JICA という組織が日本にあります。この JICA と、そして日本政府の取り組みについて、4点お話をさせていただければと思います。まず、日本は学校給食はもう教育の一環である、このように捉えて、1954年、これ法律を作りまして進めてまいりました。そして、日本のほぼすべての小学校、中学校の子どもたちには 100% 給食を与えることができています。そしてもう一つ、食と栄養、食べることと栄養がどれほど重要なのか、食育と日本では言いますけども、この食育の推進も今行っているところであります。この経験をもとに、今、世界に対して様々な支援をしていること、お話をさせていただきます。まず、一つ目、4つお話ししますが、その一つ目、地産地消型の給食、これを広めようというふうに思っています。その土地の農家で採れたお米、これを給食で使うような取り組みを今、シオラレオナという国で、シオラレオナで今支援をしているところであります。WFP の協力もいただいておりますが、こういった地産地消型の給食を広めること、まず1点進めています。そして2つ目、相手の希望がありましたら、私たち日本のノウハウ、これを共有していこうというふうに思っています。今現在、マレーシア、モンゴル、バングラデシュ、ナイジェリア、この視察団がWFP の協力も得て日本に来て日本の給食システムを今視察していただきました。こういったノウハウを世界中に共有していきたいと思っておりますし、またマレーシアでは給食フレームワーク、こういったものも作りまして ASEAN 諸国に今広めているところであります。そして3つ目なんですけども、学校給食を食べる前の段階、母親として、子どもの妊娠から出産からそして学校に行かせるまで、この期間にいかに食栄養の大切さ、これを教えることが必要であるか、こういったことに課題を持ちまして、今世界中で母子健康手帳、子どもの成長、こういったものを記録する母子健康手帳というものを作って今進めているところであります。そして最後の4つ目なんですけども、学校教育への国際的な注目、これを高めることが必要だというふうに思っています。先日 G7 のサミットが日本の広島でありました。このコミュニケでもこの学校給食の大切さ、まさにセーフティーネットになりますから、こういった学校給食の大切さを世界中に発信するようコミュニケも出しました。このように4点今コミットをさせていただいて、日本の役割を果たしていきたいというふうに思っております。ともかく2030年までに全ての子どもたちに栄養価のある、そしてまた健康的な給食を全ての子どもたちにあげられるように日本も頑張っていきたいと思いますので、よろしくお願いいたします。
Thank you. Thank you very much, Vice Minister. And we very much thank, I think, the leadership that Japan has shown as president of the G7, acknowledging also that there is a mention of school meals in the leaders' communique and in the agriculture communique. So we very much welcome Japan's work in making sure that this is at the top of the agenda globally. All right, so this session, as we mentioned, we invited these leaders to share with us what's happening in their countries, what progress has been made. The second part of this session is about countries that are making new commitments. As you saw in the video, and as I mentioned in my speech earlier, the core of the coalition is countries making these commitments. It is through those commitments that partners support, that they gather different pieces of the government and start working on how do we move forward on those commitments. This is how technical assistance is arriving, and how hopefully in a couple of years we hear from these countries back on where they are with those commitments, and we hold each other accountable. So I want to thank our panelists for now for joining us, and I think you follow our colleague Neve, who is over there. If you can just please go back to your seats, while the minister and I will welcome new countries that are going to be making new commitments to the coalition. Thank you so much, Minister. Thank you. This way. Okay, that way. Thank you, Minister. All right, so we start, Minister, with our commitment ceremony as well. We have several countries that are here in this summit, and they've been waiting for a few weeks actually to announce their commitments in the meeting. I want to start, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to make a mistake again, with the government of Sri Lanka. If please you can come up on the stage, you can join us here. Please give your commitment to the minister. Yes, okay. No, come here. Come, perhaps here. I don't know if maybe we take a picture. No, where's Rain? Echo. Yes. First commitment making country, Sri Lanka. There we go. Okay. So, Minister, I think the question very briefly is, can you tell us a little bit about your commitments and what you're telling us today?
Yes, in Sri Lanka, you find 10,135 public schools and about 300 international schools and 110 private schools. So all 10,135 schools, we have 4.1 million student population, primary, junior secondary, and senior secondary. So primary section, we have 1.6 million student population. So at the moment, government is committed, and then through national yearly national budget, we allocate $61 million. And at the moment, we provide 1 million students midday meal. So we are planning to increase it up to 1.6, covering all primary students.
From 1 million to 1.6 million.
6 million by 2024. And then by 2030, covering 4.1 million all public school students, increasing up to $204 million, 61 to 204 by 2030.
$204 million.
Yes. And then apart from that, at the moment, we are being supported by World Food Program, USAID, and corporate sector in the country, and some NGOs. So we are getting their support also. And not only that, of course, we have taken a policy decision, and the draft has already been done by the Legal Draftment Department to introduce a new act, that is State School Nutrition Supported Fund, to be established by beginning of next year.
So dedicated resources from the national budget.
That's right. And the salient features in Sri Lanka for the last 76 years, from grade 1 to first degree, the education is free. We distribute free textbooks from grade 1 to 12, and free distribution of uniform materials for all the students of 4.1 million. With all these constraints, the government is committed still to provide midday meal. And then we have advised, we have a health policy for students, because in Sri Lanka, our education administrative structure is parallel to the health ministry structure. So at the provincial level, the regional level, and the divisional level. So we have the system to coordinate the health authorities and the education authorities. So every year for primary students, we have a health screening. So then we measure their height, their weight, and we know exactly what are the areas, some vulnerable areas where we need more attention.
Right.
So like that, of course, then we are going forward, and then we are committed as the government to provide that. And then in Sri Lanka, our literacy rate is at the moment 93%.
Mhm.
The enrollment rate at the grade 1 by completion of 5 years is almost 99%,
Mhm.
except the students need special education. All other students are enrolled to the schools at the age of 5, and then the primary completion rate was the same. Only at the 15 years over the GCO level, you find 3 to 8% dropouts.
Okay, so great progress from Sri Lanka, but also I just want to acknowledge the commitment to achieve universal coverage of the school meals program by 2030. I understood correctly?
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Minister. Really, applause. Thank you very much. I think he goes, okay. Okay, now we welcome Armenia with their commitments. Please join us. Deputy Minister, very welcome. Thank you so much for being with us here today. Are those your commitments? Yes, there you go. Okay, so I think the question for you is the same. What commitments, what are you telling us today? What are you planning to do?
Thank you very much. First, it's my utmost pleasure to be here for the first summit for the World Food Coalition, for the Meal Coalition. I want to provide two major highlights. First, it's about the numbers. I can proudly say that from July 2023, this year, we already provide healthy, nutritious food to all elementary school grade children in all 10 regions of Armenia. And Armenia has only 10 regions, plus the capital, Yerevan, which is like 1/3 of the entire population, where still it's pending, and it's in our plans till 2030 to make sure they will also, the elementary school children will get nutritious food in Yerevan too. And one other thing I want to bring here is that from that program actually in Armenia started back in 2010 with WFP, World Food Program. And together, every single year, there was a nice scheme that one region was being transferred to the national program, through which now the transfer is already fully done. But thanks to WFP, together we have a body that supervises, coordinates the entire process, so that we make sure the institutionalization of the project and adaptability of the project. And if I may, just to say 2 words about the adaptability.
Yeah, just one question. You mentioned that the transfer from the WFP operated program to the Armenian government is complete. When was that completed?
It was completed this year.
This year.
This year.
So this is part of your announcements as well. Full national ownership of the Armenia School Meals Program. Okay.
Exactly, but having WFP on board and still helping us, because the plans are ambitious until 2030, as I said. We want to expand the program for it to embrace also Yerevan, the capital city. And B, to make sure that also the middle and high school kids, through the diverse like co-funding mechanisms, they will, and schemes, they will also have access to nutritious food. And eventually one highlight just to bring about, and I think that would be interesting for our international, for other countries, is the adaptability of the system, so that we try to have more locally, local berries, like fruits or vegetables, part of the nutritious program. B, we like the cooks who were like at the beginning, originally they were just getting symbolic salaries. Now they are part of the regular educational staff. The third important highlight is that the educational programs are adjusted, and healthy lifestyle and similar topics, they are part of the like overall education curriculum. And finally, we have this agency that is kind of run like equally equally by us and by the WFP, and make sure that all these processes are run smoothly. And I think this ensures this adaptability and flexibility that we are also able to handle like crisis type of things. I'm sure most here are aware that we got in September, less than a month ago, we got like over 100,000 refugees from Nagorno-Karabakh due to the Azerbaijani recent aggression, and 21,000 of these are school-age children. 2/3 are enrolled, which means that they will get equally equal all the benefits that we provide to all other kids.
Thank you so much, Minister. Another huge achievement, big commitment. Yes. Those are the commitments for the coalition. Thank you so much, Minister, Deputy Minister. Now we welcome Tajikistan. Welcome, Deputy Minister. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. Again, I think the question is exactly the same for you. You are coming with commitments. I think you need, you're going to give this to the minister, right? Those commitments? Yes, there you go, officially. Tell us what your commitments are.
Ваше превосходительство, уважаемый господин Ville Tavio и госпожа Carmen.
There we go.
В 2022 году правительством Республики Таджикистан утверждена государственная программа развития школьного питания на 2022-2027 году с целью внедрения эффективного механизма обеспечения продовольственной безопасности и создания благоприятных условий для поддержания и укрепления здорового населения, укрепление здоровья детей, обеспечение продовольственной безопасности, улучшение участия учащихся в процессе обучения, совершенствование результатов обучения за счет устойчивого развития школьного питания. В 2022 году правительством Республики Таджикистан было начато финансирование школьного питания учащихся начальных классов из государственного бюджета, суммы, которые за 2 года составила более $1 миллион. С ежегодным увеличением количества школ и бенефициаров. Хочу поделиться с вами хорошей новостью. В следующем году Министерство образования и науки Республики Таджикистан планирует увеличить бюджет на школьное питание в 2 раза, почти на 100%. Республика Таджикистан объявляет о следующих обязательствах по достижению своей цели. Ежегодно увеличивает бюджет на школьное питание и повысит эффективность системы школьного питания, обеспечение доступности и увеличение охвата учащихся начальных классов горячим питанием с достижением более 50% к 2027 году. Это около 2000 школ. И, конечно, мы продолжаем наши усилия для достижения 100% охвата в скорейшем времени. Модернизация, ремонт и технологическая реконструкция школьных столовых, развитие современной производственной и логистической инфраструктуры для достижения 100% охвата к концу 2022 года. Это позволит расширить программу школьного питания по всей стране. Этим самым обеспечит полноценное и здоровое питание примерно 500 000 учащихся начальных классов. Снизит уровень заболеваемости учащихся, особенно хроническими заболеваниями, и укрепления здоровья посредством обеспечения горячим питанием и формирования культурных здорового питания. Повысит уровень защиты от внутренних и внешних угроз и обеспечения продовольственной безопасности. Благодарю за внимание.
Thank you so much for this very impressive commitments and the doubling of the budget this year. Thank you so much. Thank you, Vice Minister. Burundi now. We will hear from Burundi commitments. We welcome the Secretary of the Office of the First Lady of Burundi. Please join us. I can see those commitments in your hand. Really good. Good news. The minister is collecting quite a dossier there. Tell us, what are the news?
Let me express in French.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't need to.
Okay, thank you. So, le Burundi s'est engagé à promouvoir le programme des cantines scolaires et cela se traduit déjà dans la politique nationale d'alimentation scolaire qui a été adoptée en 2018. Et depuis cette année, plusieurs actions ont été mises en œuvre et sont déjà en cours. Mais pour ce qui est de nouveaux engagements que le Burundi vient de prendre à travers le ministère de l'Éducation nationale et de la recherche scientifique qui met en œuvre ce programme en appui avec le PAM. Permettez-moi de vous partager quelques-uns comme vous l'avez sollicité. Le Burundi s'engage à poursuivre graduellement la couverture universelle pour les écoles ayant le cycle préscolaire et fondamental pour passer de 24% actuellement à 50% en 2027 et à 100% d'ici 2032.
Okay.
Et
Universal coverage very soon.
Et pour y arriver, le gouvernement prévoit d'augmenter progressivement le budget annuel alloué à ce programme. Et à titre illustratif, pour le budget de cette année, le gouvernement a revu son montant de 2,5 millions de dollars à 4,5 millions de dollars pour cette année.
So it's almost double.
Et le gouvernement compte également améliorer la mise en œuvre de ce programme à travers une mise à l'échelle des achats locaux décentralisés auprès des coopératives et de petits agriculteurs et des unités de transformation, et ce qui va contribuer énormément au développement communautaire. Et ce n'est pas seulement ça, on compte également à travers l'année scolaire prochaine, 2023-2024, introduire le petit déjeuner au niveau des écoles à cantine scolaire, en plus du déjeuner.
So two meals a day from this school year that comes.
Yes, à partir donc de l'année prochaine. Et permettez-moi également de montrer l'engagement personnel de son Excellence Angéline Ndayishimiye, première dame du pays, qui a accepté volontairement d'être marraine de ce programme au niveau du pays. Et depuis plus de 2 ans, elle mène des actions de mobilisation et de sensibilisation de tous les intervenants, mais aussi de plaidoyer. Et je peux citer, entre autres, des voyages et d'échanges d'expériences qu'elle a dirigés au Bénin et au Sénégal avec les ministres de l'Éducation, de l'Agriculture et de la Santé, mais aussi déjà pour montrer également la complémentarité, la multisectorialité et pour ce programme, mais aussi des actions de sensibilisation au niveau local.
She has been instrumental. She has really been at the center of the efforts in Burundi.
Ah oui, 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 yes. Et enfin, le plaidoyer aussi au niveau international qui a pu apporter également de nouveaux partenaires à ce programme. Et là, je peux citer même les États-Unis à travers son programme McGovern du département d'agriculture qui a rejoint donc ce programme et d'autres partenaires qui appuient son programme.
Thank you so much. Partners and huge commitments with tangible targets. So we'll see you in 2 years and see where Burundi is. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, now we have Lebanon. Please join us up on the stage. Director Kuri. Commitments for the minister. There we go. Tell us, what are your commitments here today?
Donc, tout d'abord, permettez-moi de vous dire que je suis ravie vraiment d'être parmi vous et de participer à cette conférence qui peut vraiment marquer une étape importante dans l'engagement de notre ministère de l'Éducation envers l'amélioration du programme scolaire.
Je ne sais pas si vous connaissez, mais les enfants au Liban endurent de plus en plus une crise multidimensionnelle. Donc, commençons tout d'abord par l'explosion à Beyrouth, passant par la pandémie de Covid, pour arriver enfin à une crise socio-économique très sévère. Donc, la situation du système éducatif n'est pas vraiment facile. Qu'est-ce que nous avons fait depuis 2001? On a commencé déjà le programme de l'alimentation scolaire. En 2010, on avait presque 10 000, mais maintenant c'est 110 000, c'est-à-dire presque 12% de la population. Ce qui est bien, mais nous comptons en 2030, c'est de couvrir tous les élèves du secteur public et une grande partie du secteur privé dans les régions vulnérables.
So quite an expansion.
Oui.
Until 2030.
Yes, we should make it.
Okay, congratulations. Thank you so much.
Merci.
Thank you. And we have Luxembourg. Thank you so much for joining us. Director Ginter. Thank you for coming. And there you go. Minister is amassing quite a bit of commitments from all the countries. Tell us, what are you committing to today?
Bon, tout d'abord, j'essaye d'être bref parce que, étant le dernier intervenant avant la pause midi, je ne vais pas parler trop longtemps. Donc, le Luxembourg vient de lancer une nouvelle stratégie. Cette stratégie qui s'appelle Supply for Future, elle vise à augmenter l'utilisation de produits locaux jusqu'en 2025 à 50%. L'utilisation de produits à base de biologie à 40% et également proposer des plats aux élèves à base végétale à 50%. Donc, comment est-ce qu'on souhaite réaliser cet objectif ou implanter cette stratégie? Le Luxembourg vient de mettre en place une plateforme digitale, tout en respectant la législation européenne sur les marchés publics. Cette plateforme permet aux agriculteurs et aux fournisseurs de travailler directement ensemble avec les cantines scolaires et ainsi de minimiser les distances entre les cantines et la production et tenir les distances à 10 jusqu'à 0 km. Ceci réduit évidemment également le gaspillage alimentaire et la réduction de la pollution plastique. Et on souhaite proposer des plats à tous les élèves du Luxembourg gratuitement et ceci dès que possible.
Thank you so much, because you have provided an example, I think, of a lot of the conversations that we'll have in the next few days. Tomorrow, there's a session specifically dedicated to food systems and the issue of food waste, the issue of shortening supply chains, all of that is going to come up. So thank you so much to Luxembourg for showing us the way. And we hope that we can see the results of all of those efforts in a couple of years. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have quite a bit of commitments, Minister, to put in the archives of the coalition. Just before we close, and I'm sure you wanna make sure that we have the main messages of the session. A lot of countries and a lot of partners ask me, what do we do with these commitments? Who holds these governments accountable? What is happening afterwards? My answer always is the accountability lies with all of you. The coalition is a voluntary mechanism through which the countries join, and also a voluntary mechanism of making of the commitments. So the point is that those commitments that are being made today, there are partners here as part of the ecosystem of the coalition that support these governments to achieve those commitments. And then it is also up to each and every one of us, and specifically the leaders in the room, to make sure that they are achieved. So thank you very much for co-moderating this with me, Minister. Take us home, finish the session for us.
Okay, thank you for the commitments. And Luxembourg, 0 kilometers that's pretty close. Even in my mathematics, even though us lawyers are bad in mathematics. But hey, I wish to thank all the speakers and applaud them for their countries and institutions' commitments and engagements. As we come to close, I call on all countries to join us and issue national commitments to expand and invest in the school meal programs, making them available for school children globally. As we know, the target to reach is about 720 million primary school age children worldwide, and with the current reach of 480 million, there remains lots of work to be done. So let me close this plenary session 1 and thank you all for the active engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you very much, Carmen. And it was magnificent, I would say. When you hear so much commitment coming from leadership, that's the sort of feeling we want. And if you remember Carmen's storytelling, one of the things she said was that the coalition is not another bureaucracy. It is not another organization that has been created. It is people and institutions coming together to work towards progress. And this is what we're hearing here. And so thank you to all of the governments. Thank you to the people and the peoples from these various countries for making this commitment. And thanks to the institutions who are here. So on behalf of the School Meals Coalition, I'd want again to recognize the efforts of the various countries and members and partners. And thank you, Excellencies, ministers. We have ambassadors, representatives from various countries, but also representatives of international organizations. And talking about international organizations and United Nations agencies, throughout this session, we had with us here the executive director of the World Food Programme, whom I want to recognize again for her presence here, Cindy McCain, who has been listening to all of these commitments, but also the fact that a lot of this work is being done in partnership with the organization that she leads. That's the World Food Programme. Now, I want again for us all to have a round of applause to us all, particularly those who are here. Please, a round of applause. And there is a very good reason for it. This is now, I'm now in my role as the school principal, the head teacher. And it's to say that they scored A grade on timing. Congratulations to all of you. It was A grade on timing, so we are on time for everything. In fact, we do have spare time. And so as we heard from Mr. Christian Ginter, the director from the ministry in Luxembourg, you don't want to talk too much when it's about time to go for food, isn't it? And that's why, and we're here talking about school meals, so we don't want to waste a lot of time. But I do want to give you some guidance. Lunch will be served where we had the coffee break here, but I also want to indicate that we're also going to have a buffet downstairs where we had our participants in the rooms. Now, this is to make sure that things are easy. You know, we do not want us all to queue up here and make places and make it so difficult for movement, and then we drag and delay. Then it will become my problem that you are late for the afternoon session. So with the organizers, we were smart to think that for ease and comfort, there should be a buffet downstairs, which you can move, choose where you want to go, and so that it makes it easy. That being said, I would like to inform you that you've got, how many minutes? Should I be kind to you in terms of lunch? Should I? Thank you. So you see, that's encouragement for me to be kind. 90 minutes of lunch, a full football match, if you want to watch it. 90 minutes of lunch, and we'll get back here at exactly 2:15, 14:15. Il faut qu'on soit précis, qu'on rentre ici et qu'on recommence, parce que, comme vous le voyez, c'est vraiment quelque chose de génial de partager et de parler de l'alimentation scolaire. Bon appétit.